Welcome to Inner Voice of Knowing podcast. I'm Kaye Doran, a shamanic leadership coach and healer, guiding you through life with a foot in both worlds. When you understand the terrain of the inner landscapes, the mental, emotional, spiritual, and energetic, you will become the leader within your physical life, both personally and professionally. After all, the power of change is in your hands. Let's get this journey started. Welcome back to Inner Voice of Knowing. I want to talk about the oversimplification of certain concepts being communicated en masse spiritually. Not by everybody, but I'm just saying it just seems to be the go-to language. And to be honest, has been for a very long time. I've been doing this for 35 years, and I was talking about this back in my late 20s. But I want to bring this to the table today because this is really important. And there are times, I'm talking about processes being simple, but we don't want to oversimplify what we're really talking about in terms of if it's leading someone to a different understanding. Our words need to really match descriptively the meaning. So here's an example. It was said to a client of mine by somebody else when they were going through a very challenging experience. They were not centered because it had sideswiped them, it had upset them. It was confronting. And when we're in that kind of space, in a heightened emotional space, and feeling angry and hurt and disappointed and shocked, we're less likely to really know what feels like truth. And so the statement was that this person's shadow was dying. Now, here, from my shamanic perspective, I really need to speak into this because the beauty lives within the shadow. Like the tarot card of the hermit carrying the lantern and the light into the dark places so that we can see more accurately. Have you ever been a child in bed and been frightened by the shadows, only to turn on the light? And it was nothing to be afraid of at all. It was a misperception. So we're not killing off anything in the shadow. We're venturing into the shadow, carrying the light of love, compassion, understanding, and forgiveness, and retrieving from the shadows those aspects of ourself. Maybe the banished parts that we deemed as ugly, spiritually inappropriate even, coming from those false stories and beliefs, from the unconscious, from the things we're not conscious of, from the things that we're resisting. And you would have heard me say this many times, what you're resisting means that you're pushing back on. We talk about God, source, the universe being oneness, that we are all one. Not just the people that are deemed of the light or that have awareness. Every living person on this planet, we're all connected to. Even those that we deem dark, we're all one. If we're going to speak about that truth, we need to examine and turn our vision inwards and ask, where am I not yet aligned with that truth? Where am I not yet knowing that truth? Where am I not yet speaking accurately about that truth? I learned a long time ago that I needed to learn how to hear what I was saying. to listen to the words that I was using? Or was I simply speaking from my subconscious, unconscious patterns? That's part of the process of what I call turning the vision inwards. And that part of yourself is not dying, just as the body is the only thing that transforms here. In the death, there is the rebirth. There is always the seed of something new. The energy cannot be destroyed. It can be redirected. That's all that's happening. And I invite every one of you listening to this episode, every episode, whatever you listen to, whoever you listen to, whatever you write and speak about yourself, I invite you to explore deeper into, are you simplifying truth? What are you resisting? What are you not taking into a deeper understanding? And taking those questions and those self-reflections in when you're in the present moment. When you're clearing, when you're walking out in nature, when you've smudged and cut cords, when you've done your heart intelligence breathing, so that you can hear and receive a deepened truth. Your shadow is not dying. And there are many aspects hiding within the shadow, calling out from the shadow. And like that hermit, we need to go in to the shadow. And notice the word is in, into those darker places, and retrieve those aspects, bring the light into it. People are perceiving the shadow and speaking in terms of it dying because we're still trying to get rid of that which we bring judgment to. Trying to bypass discomfort and the purpose of the journey of discomfort. What happens if the path that you're already walking is an incredibly positive path and you just aren't recognizing it yet because you're still trying to kill off? I don't think I need to finish that sentence. A reintegration, a reclaiming, and a remembering is what is taking place. An embracing, into what is within the shadow. Being a child and the shadows on the wall at night and the perceptions and the stories that we build around it until we bring the light to it. Now there's a metaphorical recognition. When I said to this person, the shadow doesn't die, and I spoke in terms of this, it's a reclaiming. The words were said, oh, but she would have meant it that way. But our words have power. Our messages have power. Where are we not congruent with the truths that we say we are aligned with the beliefs? We need to deepen the understanding to bring a greater certainty to it. And then when it's lived from there, it's spoken from there, it's aligned, it's empowered, it's of oneness in its understanding and in its communication and in its expression. Another one I heard today was, oh, I've been killing off my shadow over and over, I've been killing off my ego over and over again. Let's go back to truth. Everything is connected. Everything is love. We wear lenses tainted by our perceptions of unconscious false stories and beliefs. We resist to protect. We fear. We misunderstand. The ego is here to serve us. The ego has become misdirected, therefore it has become misunderstood. We've woven into the ego via these false stories and beliefs and perceptions, fears and misunderstandings, and misaligned its purpose for us. As a shaman, you know that I say everything is serving us. Everything has a purpose. The light is always inside the darkness when we bring the light to it. Truth is beyond the shadow of the belief system. Everything has a purpose. What happens if the path that you're walking is already perfect, is already abundant, is already beautiful, and on purpose? It's just that the more we unmask these non-truths and simplified communications, if we stop examining our own language, if we stop questioning, what am I really saying here, and is it congruent with other aspects that I teach? And I get it, we're all integrating, we're all being asked to turn our vision inwards, we're all being asked to listen to the words that we speak, we're all being asked to question what others say, but it's about the coming home, the remembering, the following of the threads. Years ago, in my 30s, I would take people on a journey to renegotiate with their ego and realign their ego's purpose to be aligned with their divinity. And every single participant felt the resistance drop, felt the alignment take place, because they felt the truth and were finally reclaiming all these different aspects, ego as well. Without the ego, you would not be getting up and out of bed in the morning. Even the aspects that you were judged in the shadows as angry and ugly or toxic, all the labels used. If you're doing the journey and the reclaiming and the reintegration, how you've understood it to be changes, it alters. Because your perspective is different, you're bringing it back into the truth of what you say. Source is love. The universe is love. In truth, all there is love. Truth is on the other side of the belief system, beyond the shadow of the belief system. A shadow is only a shadow because the light has been blocked. We are all one. Everything is here to be of service for us. So why would your ego be dying along the way? Why can't you just realign it, redirect it, recalibrate its purpose? Nothing in the shadow needs to die. It needs to be brought back into life, into the light, into love. How do I know this to be true? Because I do this myself and I've been doing this work with others, and I see the instant relief, release, relaxation, and remembering. Don't make it more complicated than it is. Now, here is the whole thing around it. If we say that we're soul and energy first, are you listening to everybody else? Their opinions, their judgments, remember, they're only coming from their own forgetfulness, driven, fueled by their subconscious false stories and beliefs, their fears, their lack of remembering, their misalignment. So why would we make them the authority? What are some of the simplified words that people are saying? Is like, okay, my ego taps into you saying that because that makes me then feel like I'm a better person. Do you see the challenge in that? It's like being told there are only so many that are chosen to be here, to bring light and to bring healing. Well, there in itself is a limitation. Everybody in any given moment has the opportunity to remember, to awaken to the truth. It's not a soul awakening. The soul's already awake. It's an awakening to the soul. It's not a spiritual awakening. The spirit is already awake. It's awakening to the spirit. And it's the very act of ego. When some are talking about how much of their ego has died off, it's the very act of an ego that even says there are only so many here that have chosen to come through to do this work. I listen to a lot of this and I observe all the heads that nod and where it's tapped into energetically into them. Instead of them questioning, listening, maybe taking notes, and then sitting down and going into source, carrying yourself into source through the heart intelligence breathing, through the clearing of your energy, sitting with soul and asking the power question. Reveal to me the truth of this statement. Because often when we're listening to other people, when we're at events, we get caught in the energy. We get woven into that tapestry. Now, I'm not bringing judgment to these events or what anybody is saying, but when are you going to come home and question? Because it always reminds me of when I was the trance channeler. I would be off elsewhere, having a separate conversation, while a powerful, masterful being, a couple of them, would utilize my body, my voice, and communicate. And the reason that the process stopped is because the integration came that I am not to channel anymore. That in fact, I no longer like the word channeling because the universe exists within every single one of us, and every single one of us has that power and potential and knowing. And it's bringing our awareness to that and moving beyond that sticky spider's web of illusion that's become an intrusion. And one of the powerful shamanic processes for that is exactly what I'm asking you to do. Even with what I'm speaking about on my podcast. Apply this to everyone. Because there's a lot of noise out there and there's a lot spoken that are also missing the mark. Surface level communication. Misaligned with other things that come out when they then talk about oneness and love. I personally choose to see the potential in everybody. That one light is lit of remembrance and it lights the next person and they light the next person and we keep lighting each other and shining it. Not feeling more special than, not killing off parts of ourself. And also questioning, oh, but that's not what I meant. Then what words would more accurately convey what you truly mean? Because we don't want to be sheep that has merely changed the colour of our wool. The power's in you. The knowing is in you. And what is shared from another needs to be explored by that source within you. The ego can be elevated and expanded and repurposed to be aligned with the divine. The shadow elements are to be reclaimed and reintegrated back into your divinity, to your heart. There is nothing that you want to be killing off. And if you're judging the killing that's happening in the world, then where are you aligning with that same belief system that parts of ourselves need to die? They're just realigned, rebirthed, repurposed, brought back home. So I invite you, whatever you read, start reading when you've done your heart intelligence breathing and you're not reading from your mind, then do the questioning. Start learning how to observe and listen to the words that you're using, because they're actually telling you where there's a disconnect. So as I lovingly shared with that client, that their friend said, your shadow is dying. And she said with defense, oh no, she wouldn't have meant that. She would have meant what you're talking about. Then we need to listen and go, well, if she was truly aligned with that knowing, that understanding, that truth, the words, oh, your shadow is dying, would not have been the words chosen. Now, this may challenge some of you. And as I've learned along the way, if you're hearing something and it starts feeling a bit challenging, it's because we're wanting to defend. We're wanting to defend. If you feel the need to defend, if you start to feel irritated by it, question deeper what's taking place. This is a powerful topic. So I ask you to take inside of yourself this question. What am I resisting? What am I trying to kill off, get rid of, discard? and why. Because remember, the truth is as simple as this. Everything is connected. It's oneness. And I've experienced that oneness profoundly. I felt it. It's time to question deeper. There is massive upheaval happening. Many can be awakened. All can be awakened. There's not just a few chosen ones. It's time to reclaim, remember. And to do that, we must be checking in with source and soul. And to do that, we need to energetically attune. And then live, breathe, speak, act from that place. And then know when you react, when you try to make yourself or others feel more special than anybody else, when you feel angry, what within you is speaking to you, is calling to you, is reaching out to you? Your words have power. Are your words aligned with what you say you know to be truth? Join me on my next episode, and if you love this podcast, please subscribe by clicking on the plus button if you're on Apple, or like and follow on Spotify, rate and review, and please share Inner Voice of Knowing with your friends.